Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien on the morning of Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. Stand by for commentary. Well, Americans, you're getting to the point where you have to decide about the most basic thing of all which you have missed in the last 240 some years. And this commentary is on three things: the few, the many, the one, but most important, those are the three things, but the most important things that you forget outside of those is the heart of the USA. Let me explain this for you. Tonight, you have the Republicans doing their usual yucky, I'm not even going to watch it. I wouldn't even watch Democrats. You guys are almost as bad. But those dumb American people are going to watch this. Poor guys. Remember that episode in Charm where the avatars changed the world and made it a utopia, and if you didn't agree with it, and you were done? And they would say, oh, you went to a nicer place. That's what your America is looking here. If you get the Democrats, that's what they want it to be, kind of a utopia where nothing works right and everything is wrong. The Republicans, well, they wanted to make it Trumpville. Yeah, okay. But the USA is and always has been a project with a lot of faults, a lot of problems, a project. And you don't handle it economically, you don't handle it politically, you handle it with the heart. Just think of a patient, Americans, and that's what the USA is, a patient. When you elected George Washington when you made George Washington the first president of the United States, you didn't elect him, okay? And he served his first term, then you re-elected him. And during the second term, everything that we have problems today emerged. The two-party system, the few, the many, and the one, emerged there. The few would be George Washington and his ideals. The many would be the American people who didn't know which way was up, which way was down, and they still don't. And the one. At that time, today it's Donald J. Trump. At that time, I would say it would be Alexander Hamilton, who had a vision for the country. That's why they always say we live in a Hamiltonian world, but we are governed by a Jeffersonian thinking. And that's what we got today. That's why it doesn't work. If you notice that Hamilton and Jefferson, it's like left and right, Republicans or Democrats, extremists, leftists and extremists, rightists. Those were the two ancestors of what you got today. Okay? And the United States, when George Washington left on his second term, he didn't want a third one, and I couldn't blame him. Why would you want a third one after that disastrous second term? If you don't believe me, read his farewell address to the country. He told you everything there. You guys just didn't care, didn't read it, or didn't understand it or comprehend it. Probably didn't care, I would say. But he told you everything in there. And ever since then, the United States has been in a code, like a patient who has been coded, and you have to take the old electrical charges and electrify his way back, bring his heartbeat back. But every time you do, and by personal experience I know that, because that's what happened to my wife. The first time, the second time, and the third time. And that's what's happening to the USA. Every time you do this, and you bring a person back, he doesn't come back all the way. And the United States has been put under the electrocution a bunch of times. Right now, the Republicans, those few, are trying to pull the plug by shutting down the government. Well, that's their deal. And the other Republicans, for letting them do that, instead of going to the Democrats and said, forget our differences for this one time. We got a whole problem here. We got to get this country back and make sure that when we resuscitate it, its heartbeat comes back to full and its heart is not damaged. My wife's heart was damaged and it couldn't come back to full. Therefore, I had to pull the plug, just like Republicans are trying to do. Pull the plug on a dying patient. Is that what you want, Americans? Pull the plug, and because that's what your shutdown on the 30th of September is going to do. It's going to pull the plug, and then you're going to try to resuscitate the United States. But does the heart of the United States have the energy to sustain another one and bring it back to full beat? 65% refraction rate. Does it have that? Or would it come down to 20, 30, or 15%? Which means it's on congestive heart failure, like my poor wife. It is up to you, Americans. You have to decide what you want this country to do. Pull the plug with the Republicans? Okay. But there'll be nobody there to give you a nice funeral. The only thing I'll say on your epitaph when I leave this planet is, there were a bunch of people who didn't understand what they had and threw it all away. And that's what I'll put on your epitaph when I leave. And bring back those 300,000 people that I have on my ship. It is up to you, Americans. You can change the timeline. But will you? No. You don't have the gumption, the guts to do that, do you? Democrats and Republicans, those of you that are not extremists, do you have the right to go into Congress and say, enough is enough? We are a united front, whether we're Democrats or Republicans. We don't want the liberals. We don't want the conservatives. We want the Americans here to resuscitate this dying patient, which is going to take decades to resuscitate. Are you willing to do that? I don't think so. This is your favorite alien with today's commentary. Good day.